Hello! Yesterday I stumbled upon information about a very interesting site in China which provides further confirmation of the points I've been making in regards to the living stones, the rocks as growing organisms. This is just a short follow-up video. The main points are in these 3 long documentaries. So, stone spheres grow up on the side of a cliff in a mountain in China, and they mature in 30 years. Every 30 years they mature and they fall off, just to be replaced with newborn babies, which will also in their turn mature and fall off after 30 years. Before, I was aware only of the Trovant stones of Romania, which provide a visual explanation of how stones can grow, and they continue to be the best example. They grow really fast. After rain, they grow like mushrooms. I believe their growth rate was being compared even to that of the bamboo, so fast when they get regular watering. The official attempts to explain to the public what is this all about are, as usual, very superficial, and as usual they take the things out of context. They never show you these concretions along other similar formations. They avoid to tell you about the big picture. So the way they approach it is they don't even mention that there is any problem with the explanation of the entire mountain and all mountains as such. They say, well, only the spheres are like the problem. We don't know only about them. That's the only thing we cannot explain. But in the 3 long documentaries, I show plenty of images proving that this oval form continues also outside the concretions. They are not as separate from the stone as they try to create the impression. At many other sites all over the globe, the entire stone is basically one concretion growing next to the other. Like here, the concretions are not the exception in the stone, they are the stone. And although we don't see all concretions growing, this doesn't mean that they have not reached maturity and now they kind of dropped off. Same like the China stones, after they reach maturity they stop growing and the people take them to worship them in their homes. Another point is that although we don't see that many concretions growing visually, this doesn't mean that they don't do it very slow and we simply don't notice. Just to remind you that there is no proper mainstream explanation about all concretions anyway. They have numerous hypotheses, but again they are based on only part of the big picture. Like, for example, they will stress that often inside you find fossils. But I read that it is not that often actually, and in most concretions you don't find any fossils at all, by far the most. But since they find fossils in some concretions, they actively use it to promote this idea that everything appears as a result of very gross and well-studied mechanical processes only. Their main job is to always distract us from the main thing, that some sort of conscious design is needed for many of these processes which they simply say, oh, they happen spontaneously, very much like their hypothesis about the origin of the first living cell, which is as complex as a factory, including all its workers and complicated machines and the sequence of the various processes for manufacturing a given thing. So they say, oh, that happened spontaneously in that primordial soup of the salty primordial ocean. But the chances of such a complex organization spontaneously organizing itself, as they call it, are as big as if you take junk metal parts and put them in some sort of water or whatever solution in which they can move freely, and to hope that they will just happen to spontaneously organize themselves in the form of functioning machines, which at the end will deliver a finished product. So it's the same with these spheres in China. They say, oh, it's just concretions. The minerals must have organized themselves somehow already in the stone, which was formed, of course, millions of years ago. It's not a big thing. But actually, it is a very big thing, because now we have two proven and observable examples of obviously growing concretions in China and in Romania. And on the other hand, we have plenty of concretions all over the world, practically unexplained. But in many cases, we can also observe that they make bedrock, the concretions make bedrock. These circles, they spread far, the circular design spreads far beyond the actual concretion, or its core, to be more precise. And add to all that we have a lot of what is usually known as stone mushrooms, which are basically type of concretions with supporting material of some other type of stone. We call them mushrooms, but they are the same thing, form of concretions. And we have also bedrock made out of these so-called mushrooms. So all these factors just now listed, taken together, prove that actually the chances that a lot of the bedrock on Earth actually grew are quite high. Of course, one can find scientifically sounding articles about this very interesting mountain in China, which are actually full of baloney, even to the point that they try to convince the people, just because not everybody can go and see, that these concretions, they don't grow there, but they have been formed millions of years ago. Of course, they say, after all, as if it is self-obvious, and now they're just getting exposed by the erosion. As the rock around them erodes, they pop out. Well, this is not what the villagers and the people who go there tell. The concretions, they grow. This type of articles will also try to diminish the significance of this site by saying, oh, it's just concretions. We know about concretions already. There is nothing special about it. Yes, we know about concretions already, which doesn't mean we know everything about their origin. This site in China really provides very valuable information for those inquisitive minds who really want to understand how did our Earth, Prithvi Devi, come to existence, and what are the patterns of this underlying creator consciousness.